Our selection today will be Step Out into the Water.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you up on earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. What we're going to deal with today is the hierarchy of power that is going to be set here in the earth. Now, when we discuss the upcoming righteous kingdom that shall be established on the earth, we encounter the question about the hierarchy of power that must accompany it. The nations who are currently ruling or have shared rulership in the earth in the past somehow claim unfairness if they are not allowed to rule again. There is a false perception that in order for it to be a righteous kingdom, all nations must rule equally. This type of rulership would ultimately end in utter chaos, as each nation would do what was right according to their own perception of what right is. The balance of power that has been established in the earth will be maintained from ground up, but this balance may not seem righteous according to man's fleshly understanding. We're going to begin today's sermon in Luke chapter 14, and we're going to read verses 7 through 11. When we really consider the things of the oracles are basically leading into this hierarchy of power that Yahweh has set up. There is a system of rulership and this false perception that everything has to be equal according to man's understanding is the very thing that will end up getting us killed. In the oracles we read, I have placed an angel and given him charge over you. Beware of him and don't provoke him. Now, the first thing we have to do is learn how not to provoke the angel. All right. So you have of course, it was Moshe who they saw. The angel they didn't see. So you can provoke an angel who you do not see. How? By doing things that is going to go totally against the direction that the Spirit is going. So the first thing in understanding this, because what ends up happening is a lot of times we get caught in the physical part of being Israel, and these are the very things that end up getting used against us. That other people believe that we are counting our salvation just based on our nationality or ethnicity, and it's way more than that. You have to respect the hierarchy of power, no matter who you are. Doesn't matter if we're Israel. It doesn't matter anything. We have to deal with those things. There was order. You had Yahweh's seat. A brother thought he was doing something good. The ark shook. He put his hand on it. He had to die. Wasn't any question about whether or not he was a good brother. Wasn't any question about whether or not he was a bad brother. Didn't matter what he was. What he did was upset that chain by putting his hand on Yahweh's seat. Gotta die. Simple as that. And there's no more discussion. Now, the next question comes about, do you have things set up in a way that the hierarchy of power will be disrupted? See, just by having the ark on the cart that the heathens had it placed on, it was already a system that upset the balance of power. Because the only people that were supposed to be even near it was the priest. So by allowing it, there was a fault there in King David. He didn't research it beforehand. He researched it after somebody got killed. You kind of want to do your research before somebody dies. You don't want to wait until there's a dead body in your living room and say, I need to figure out how this dead body got here. Then figure out it was on you why that dead body is there. Because you didn't do your research beforehand. So had King David done his research beforehand, he would have realized that ark can't stay on that cart. And who are these people that's pulling it? Those are supposed to be priests that come near that particular thing. So there's a part where we end up taking fault when we allow something to stay in a way that it will cause damnation to others. Luke chapter 14, and let's start at verse 7.
And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, when you are bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than you be bidden of him. And he that bade you, and him come and say to you, give this man place, and you begin with shame to take the lowest room. But when you are bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade you comes, he may say unto you, friend, go up higher. Then shall you have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with you.
Right. Now, you may be looking at this when you see, first of all, we have to deal with it. These are the words of Yahshua. These are the words of the Messiah. Now, it seems, if you just look at it, it may be just some words for good measure that he's giving here in dealing with where you take your seat in a wedding feast. But when we understand that this wedding feast eventually is going to take on a spiritual nature, then now we have to deal with that there is levels to where people will be placed even in that wedding feast of Yahweh Elohim. Now, if we deal with just a natural marriage, that they have a situation where they say brides people on this side, groom people on this side, that they have the family sit in a certain place. It would be really strange for somebody to not really know anybody and come and sit right in the front. And people start asking you, okay, so you kin to the bride? No. Okay, so you kin to the groom? No. Well, who the hell are you? See, that's where the system of self-check automatically should come in. You should automatically feel funny when you're going into a place and automatically go and sit out and try to sit in the best seat in the place. I remember my first time coming and keeping the Sabbath day. If there was any further I could get from the altar, that's where I was. I got all the way to where my back was against the wall. If they would have had a further seat than that, I would have sat in that one. I wasn't trying to get nowhere near the front, nowhere near nothing, because I knew I didn't know nothing about nothing. And you know what else I didn't do? I ain't opened my mouth. It's amazing. We can have people sometimes come to keep Sabbath, and the very first time they come in the door, they got something to say. Don't know jack, dripping with curses. We have Bible study for open discussion. That's what Bible study is for. Open question, and anybody can ask question. Sister, woman, child, anybody can ask a question. That's what Bible study is for. I knew I wasn't a deep reader, so I went to every Bible study they had. I wasn't no reader before this word. I read if I had to pass the test. And after that, the book can be put under the table to level the table off. Because that's it. I ain't never going to use that book again. But this word changed that. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 11. For whoso exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humbles himself shall be exalted.
So then now you have Yahweh working on some things in his own timing. There's certain things that has to happen. Even when Yahweh decided to make David king of Israel, he had already known, this was the man he was going to choose. Instead of, just going out and giving him the crown, Yahweh then turns around and gives him a job. Here, go deal with these sheep. Now keep working the sheep, but I'm gonna anoint you king. So where the crown at? That dude over there still got it. But keep working these sheep. Because see, the difference between you and that dude ain't been trained. That's why he's a horrible king. That's why you don't just run up on something. No. Wait on your ministry. It tells you that for a reason. See, when you talk about Saul, he was just given the job. Boom. No training whatsoever. Might have sounded absolutely wonderful that he was king in no time flat. He was one of the most horrible kings Israel had. And you can't help but stick out when you the first. So everybody know, your kingdom sucked. No training. Then Yahweh trains this other guy by dealing with sheep. He's learning how to care for something. He's learning how to care for something that's weaker than him, putting his life in danger for something other than himself. Go ahead.
That was it, verse 11.
All right, let's go to Proverbs chapter 25 so that we can see the next level of that. Because if you look at that just on face value, that Yahshua is telling you about a wedding feast, and we know that the wedding feast is a natural thing, right? We remember what? His first miracle was done in Cana of Galilee at a wedding feast. What did he end up doing? Turning water into wine. Okay, so he's just giving us some good information about how to conduct yourself in a wedding feast. Come to figure out, he's talking about a little bit more than that. Proverbs chapter 25, and let's start that at verse 1.
These are also proverbs of Shlomo, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, copied out. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter.
It is the glory of Elohim to conceal a thing, but the honor of the one in charge to search out a matter. Go ahead.
The heaven for height, and the earth for depth, and the heart of kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. Put not forth yourself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. For better it is that it be said unto you, Come up hither, than that you should be put lower in the presence of the prince whom your eyes have seen.
So now, Shlomo has uttered this same thing before Yahshua did. Go ahead.
Go not forth hastily to strive, lest you know not what to do in the end thereof, when your neighbor has put you to shame. Debate your cause with your neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another.
Now, Shlomo didn't just come up with that on his own. We have first a law, but then we have Yahshua going on a higher level, and it says how we are to deal with issues. You have an issue, you pull that individual aside, you talk to that individual one-on-one. Then if that increases, you take another witness. Then if it doesn't go, then you bring it before the church. So there's an order in which we do things, because it is given to us in this book. Not that we can make any order of our own. And you're going to find the same things written over and over and over, because Yahweh know one thing about Israel. We thick-headed. And he know we thick-headed. And we'll see something in one place and we'll question it. So Yahweh makes sure, tell it to the other servant over there too. Okay, now tell it to the other one. Okay, now tell it to two more. So when I run into another one of them thickheads, I can show them about 4 or 5 times. What's your problem? I got 4 or 5 witnesses saying the same thing. What is the problem? Go ahead.
Lest he that hears it put you to shame, and your infamy turn not away.
Keep going.
A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. As an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold, so is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear.
Now, as an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold, so is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear. Well, that's 2 things. There's a wise person that reproves another, directing them, but then there's a question of whether or not the other end has an obedient ear. See, I remember being young and stupid. And them older folk kept trying to tell you, boy, if you keep doing that, you're going to have some problem. And we all think in our generation, the old folk don't know what they talking about. Everybody think that their stuff is new stuff. And them folk tried to tell me then, boy, that's the same thing. They just rewrapped that. That's the same thing. We used to do that same thing, boy. I'm telling you what's finna happen to you. And you don't realize that until you're in the ditch. Now, if you're lucky, you get to climb out that ditch. And you get to find you some young fool. Hey, boy, you better stop doing that. But don't be surprised if the young boy do the same thing to you. Shut up, old man. You don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Verse 13. As the cold of snow in the time of harvest, so is a faithful messenger to them that send him. For he refresheth the soul of his masters. Whoso boasts himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain. By long forbearing is a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaks the bone. Have you found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for you, lest you be filled therewith and vomit. Withdraw your foot from your neighbor's house, lest he be weary of you, and so hate you. A man that bewrayeth false witness against his neighbor is a maul, and a sword, and a sharp arrow.
All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 22. So Yahshua and Shlomo ends up talking about positioning yourself. Yahshua directly talks about the wedding feast. And now let's read a little bit more about this. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 1. And Yahshua answered and spake unto them again by parables and said, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son.
Now, the first thing he goes into before he's talking about the position within a wedding if you are invited to one. Then he talks about the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a king which made a marriage for his son. So when he was talking about this thing of this marriage feast, he was already talking on a whole nother level. Whereas they were able to accept the natural level of where to sit in a wedding feast, were they dealing with the spiritual part of that? Keep going.
And sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden. Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come on to the marriage.
Right. So it's one of the things, even when you consider someone just coming into the wedding and taking their seat wherever they want to take it, one thing you realize, there's a whole lot of work that has been happening to put that together. Yahweh says, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all the things are ready. Now come unto the marriage. So you have to consider when people then come any old kind of way, it is now disrespectful for all those people who have done the work to put it ready. Go ahead.
But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was angry, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burnt up their city. Then says he to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go you therefore into the highways, and as many as you shall find, bid to the marriage.
Right. We have a whole generation of our people that end up being cut off. All of these promises were given unto Israel. We were given these covenants. We agreed to these covenants. And then afterward, we didn't walk in any of the things that we agreed upon. So then he has to come up with another covenant. I have set forth the wedding, but those that were bidden were not worthy. Destroy that generation. Now go out and find me some more. See, we embarking upon our second opportunity to enter into this marriage feast. We can't mess this one up. We already messed up one. Go ahead.
Verse 10. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests.
Right. Go get it. Everybody you find. Remember now, this second time, the word was opened up not just to Israel. It was open up to all the other nations. Before, he invited certain ones. See, Yahshua start talking, but he's talking much deeper than what. So you can't just run through this. All right? You're going to have to back up a couple times. Wait. So what are you talking about right here? So for all those people that's talking about other nations and the Gentiles won't be in the kingdom, man, I don't know what book those people read. Because this thing is all throughout this book. I don't know what book they read. Go ahead.
And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment.
Right.
And he says unto him, Friend, how cameth you in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless.
Right. How did you come in here unprepared? See, even when we come into the word, we don't recognize it, of course, because we've been in the world and everything that we have done was regular in the world. But we walk in the door dripping with curses. All the curses that were pronounced upon us from the beginning. It takes a while to start shedding those things off. Those don't just come off right away. It happened bit by bit by bit. And if you decide to stop walking, guess what? You just started over. You ever try to clean something, stop in the middle, go back and do something else, and realize, man, I gotta start back over from the top. Right. Go ahead.
Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Now, when it was said in this second go round of this wedding feast, go and find all, good and bad. So you have to think about something. The bad gonna show up to the wedding, but they gonna get carried out though. So don't be happy because you look around and see some people you know. Might want to wait a little bit, see if they get carried out. Go ahead.
You know, we also got to think about just here, when we have people trying to come through the door, just looking at the physical appearance of the wedding garment, and we try to explain to them there's a dress code. We get all manner of nonsense at the door in the fight.
Yep. Yeah, because they want to come how they want to come. See? Hey, man, we've had some that got upset that they couldn't sit with their honey boo boo. We have brothers on one side, sisters on one side. They're like,
I like to hold my baby's hand when I'm reading the scriptures.
Well, I advise you to sit on that end and let him sit on this end, and maybe y'all can hold hands. I don't know how y'all gonna turn the page, but whatever. But I tell you one thing, one of y'all gonna be on one side and the other gonna be on the other. I can tell you that if you're coming in here. That's the way that's gonna be. Now, I don't know what you and your honey boo boo do when y'all at the house, you know.
We read scripture, we stare in each other's eyes.
Well, congratulations. You ain't gonna do it in here. See, there's an order. And if I allow the order to go any other way, guess who Yahweh come looking for first? Oh, don't think he not gonna get you. But he gonna get me first. He said, boy, didn't you see that? What's your problem? See? So I'm gonna get dealt with first. Then the other people get dealt with. See, when Eli let his boys do all that stuff, Yahweh didn't just go deal with the boys. He went and dealt with the priest, high priest. So, you gonna die with your sons. Eli didn't do it. But Yahweh killed them too. Why? Because he let his boys do it. Go ahead, bro.
For many are called, but few are chosen.
Many are called, but few are chosen. Did you get to the end of that?
Yes.
Let's
14.
go to Ezekiel chapter 44. And start that at verse 1.
Ezekiel chapter 44 and verse 1.
Now we're talking about the setup of this future kingdom. Even when you get down to some of these parts, you'll look at the heading, and it talks about the future temple. Go ahead.
Then he brought me back the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looks toward the east, and it was shut. Then said Yahweh unto me, This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it, because Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, has entered in by it. Therefore it shall be shut.
Now what if you one of them people said, well, look, I mean, we in the kingdom, I ought to be able to go through any gate everybody else ought to be able to go through. You're going to die. Go ahead.
It is for the prince. The prince, he shall sit in it to eat bread before Yahweh.
Now, I ought to be able to go through that gate too. They're going to carry you out of there. You're going to go through the gate. You just won't be walking. But see, this is what happens when we are habitual line crossers. We just see something and we want to test it. Go ahead. You're going to die there. But please don't tell nobody Sock taught you. Don't tell nobody I taught you to do that. No, you did that on your own. Yahweh, I made sure they knew. They decided they wanted to be habitual line crossers. That wasn't me. Go ahead.
He shall enter in by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same. Then brought he me the way of the north gate before the house. And I looked, and behold, the glory of Yahweh filled the house of Yahweh, and I fell upon my face. And Yahweh said unto me, Son of man, mark well, and behold with your eyes, and hear with your ears all that I say unto you concerning all the ordinance of the house of Yah.
All the ordinances of the house of Yahweh. See, there's a reason why there's a hierarchy of power, because everybody don't understand instructions. And the people who don't understand instructions on a certain level, they need to be sitting further to the back. Least you make a mistake that gets you killed. Imagine if the guy who thought he was doing good to try to hold up the ark, imagine if he were way back there. All he would have said is, oh, that's it. He wouldn't have died. Why? Because he wasn't close enough to do nothing stupid. Sometimes you need to move yourself back far enough that you're not close enough to do nothing stupid. All he would have said was, oh, that thing about to fall. That wouldn't have got him killed. He wasn't close enough to do nothing. But now what happened when you are in close proximity, but you don't understand any other ordinances? Now you think your good-hearted measure is to put your hand up there and touch Yahweh's seat. They about to carry you out of here. Go ahead.
And all the laws thereof, and mark well the entering in of the house, with every going forth of the sanctuary. And you shall say to the rebellious, even to the house of Israel, Thus says Yahweh Elohim, O you house of Israel, let it suffice you of all your abominations, in that you have brought into my sanctuary strangers uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh.
Right. Now, this is one of those things, a lot of times when we're having holy days, people are excited, so they want to invite their friends. Now, their friends don't know no rules whatsoever. We have done that before, and they end up ruining everybody's holy day. Not understanding anything that was going on, causing all kinds of problems and issues, not understanding the ordinances. As I tell people, no, you might not want to bring people on a holy day. There's a whole lot more things going on, and people won't be able to explain everything to them. So when you get down and it's talk about you have brought strangers into my sanctuary, you have brought these. What do these strangers bring? They bring their own thoughts and beliefs on how they think things ought to be done. And now they're walking with their misunderstanding, and it's defiling things in the process. Go ahead.
To be in my sanctuary, to pollute it, even my house, when you offer my bread, the fat and the blood, and they have broken my covenant because of all your abominations. And you have not kept the charge of mine holy things, but you have set keepers of my charge in my sanctuary for yourselves. Thus says the Adonai Yah, no stranger, uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh, shall enter into my sanctuary of any stranger that is among the children of Israel.
Right. So, eventually, all shall have to receive their circumcision. But not just the circumcision in flesh, they're going to have to be circumcised in heart. And up to this point, Israel is still attempting to receive our circumcision of heart. We still working on that one. Go ahead.
And the Levites that are gone away far from me, when Israel went astray, which went astray away from me after their idols, they shall even bear their lawlessness.
So now you have the Levites or the priests. They have all of these duties, but even within that, those duties are broken down within families. So everybody don't have the same ability, the same rights, the same things. It is broken down. One family operates the door. Another family operates the incense. Another family operates from the altar. One can't just say, I'm a Levite, so I'm going to do that over there. Go ahead.
Verse 11, yet they shall be ministers in my sanctuary, having charge at the gates of the house, and ministering to the house. They shall slay the burnt offering and the sacrifice for the people, and they shall stand before them to minister unto them. because they ministered unto them before their idols, and caused the house of Israel to fall into lawlessness. Therefore have I lifted up mine hand against them, says the Adonai, and they shall bear their lawlessness.
So even within a future temple, Yahweh is still dealing with the situations of what was committed before. See, one thing ends up affecting some other things. So when you talk about this hierarchy of power, we have to deal with where was your level of sacrifice beforehand. See, you have a lot of Euro-Gentiles that are saying that, especially when they listen to other Hebrew Israelite camps, and some of those camps may be doing that, but they end up believing that you are basing your salvation based on color or ethnicity. But when you get down to it, you're going to find that there was a heavier sacrifice made on certain levels and in certain groups of people than it was for others. So you have those that have made no sacrifice, yet want the highest order and the highest abilities, and have made zero sacrifice at all. Yahweh understands where those sacrifices come from. And the sacrifices are spiritual in nature. Go ahead.
And they shall not come near unto me to do the office of a priest unto me, nor to come near to any of my holy things in the most holy place. But they shall bear their shame and their abominations which they have committed. But I shall make them keepers of the charge of the house, for all the service thereof, and for all that shall be done therein.
Right. So this is a level then that was given based on how they have performed in the past. Go ahead.
But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok.
Now he's going into a specific house because of how he operated. Go ahead.
That kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Israel went astray from me. They shall come near to me to minister unto me.
Right. Everybody can't come near to Yahweh. He said because they dealt right when everybody else faltered, they gonna be the ones that come closest to me. Everybody else can't do that. Now imagine if you don't know that. And you say, hey, Yahweh just told us I'm from the tribe of Levi. Let me throw a little something on this altar. And we gonna see them carrying somebody right out that tent. Right. See, you don't understand there's levels in that. And they have earned their right from things that were done centuries ago. He gonna come get their sons. Understand, when he come and get the descendants of Zadok, man, they ain't gonna know who they are. He gonna have to tell them. Yo, folks, you descend from Zadok. Who, me? Yeah, you. Come, stand right here. No, I don't want to stand that close. No, you gonna stand right here. They might even be scared. I don't want that job. Shut up, boy. I know where you supposed to be. You sure you want me to stand right? Yes. See, because he know it was your folks that stood right when Israel went astray. That's how you gonna earn your spot. Go ahead.
And they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, says the Adonai.
Right, but the other Levites ain't gonna have that. They can't do that. Now remember, there was already a schism dealing with Moshe when the sons of Korah said, hey man, hey, look at, we preach too. All right, we finna do this thing. We want to do such and such. All right, well let's make an example out of you then. Let's go ahead. Let's get it. And it ended up being a memorial for everybody else that would be disobedient. Every time somebody got, you remember them dudes that got killed and sucked down in the hole? Right. Go ahead.
They shall enter into my sanctuary, and they shall come near to my table to minister unto me, and they shall keep my charge. And it shall come to pass that when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments, and no wool shall come upon them, whilst they minister in the gates of the inner court and within.
And you need to mark this for when you run into them purple brothers. Go ahead.
They shall have linen bonnets upon their heads.
You will not be able to approach unto Yahweh without something on your head. So while they running off at the mouth talking all that, oh man, you can't prophesy and do out. You go near Yahweh with that hair hanging out, and you ain't gonna have to worry about putting that on it, because he's gonna take the whole head off. You ain't gonna worry about putting nothing on it, because you ain't gonna have none. Go ahead.
And shall have linen breeches upon their loins.
Right. There's a way you approach unto Yahweh. See, when we push the dress code, people think, oh, those people are strict. No, we trying not to get you killed. So I can't believe he said something about my outfit. I'm trying not to get you killed. Run up on Yahweh. The angel of Yahweh show up. Don't nobody know what day he gonna show up. He show up, see you out of order, and we end up carrying you outside. Understand? It wasn't like you wasn't told. You made a decision. But see, sometimes we end up being angry at the folks who trying to keep us from being killed. Because those are the people who say things that don't sound nice to us. See, if you want to hear some nice stuff, go to church tomorrow. You're going to be more than conquerors. Oh, it's going to be so much grace in the place. It's going to be all kind of things. And you're going to walk out stepping high like you're in a marching band. Whoa! Oh, you're going to feel absolutely wonderful on your way to the lake of fire. But those people leave out of there feeling absolutely wonderful. And then sometimes we're like, I want to feel wonderful. I want to feel wonderful too. You shall feel wonderful in the kingdom. Because instead of marching, feeling absolutely wonderful about all the sins that you're committing, you're actually making an attempt to try and change something. That is a spiritual sacrifice. Go ahead.
You know, bro, I hear everybody chuckling when you say certain things, and until y'all have seen the things we've seen, you know, people get this attitude, well, I'm a Hebrew too, just like with Korah. I'm a Levite too, we can do this. And man, people have been warned to take care of stuff, and we talking about baptized Hebrews. You got a situation, take care of it. Oh, no. And man, we've seen people broke their doggone foot at the front door.
Whole leg, that wasn't no foot. That was a leg. That wasn't no broke foot. No, broke foot is this much. The leg this long. No. Let's go ahead and say that for what it was. That wasn't no broke foot. Yeah. No, he's definitely right. But see, Yahweh gives everybody opportunity. And in that pause, people believe that Yahweh agree with them. That's the part that ends up being confusing to Israel. That they think Yahweh is agreeing to them. And Yahweh is just giving them pause. So you still ain't going to repent. So you still not going to repent. He gives us every opportunity. And after the pause is over, the angel is already sitting there ready to do his job. Then he gives that angel the okay. Then we realize afterwards all the missed opportunities of repentance. See, it gets to a point that after we drag it out so long, because, you know, we some tough cookies. See, after we drag it out for so long, he takes the ability. He wouldn't let Pharaoh repent. Pharaoh he said, no, you had a couple hundred years to repent. No, you're not going to repent now because I'm going to make an example out of you now. So every time something came harsh, Pharaoh wanted to repent, not because he wanted to do right. He wanted to repent so he can get them plagues off him. And man, there's lice and frogs up in here. I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry. Who's Yahweh? Who is it? Who y'all say y'all God name is? Just tell him to take these doggone animals out of here. Then after that, Yahweh turned his heart and he'd take all that back. And all you have to do to see what's in somebody's heart is listen to what's coming out of their mouth. They don't even hear what's coming out of their mouth right away. You can go back and talk to people and say, I didn't say that. Oh, but yes, you did. And the mouth testifies as to what's in the heart. Go ahead, bro.
They shall not gird themselves with anything that causes sweat. And when they go forth into the outer court, even into the outer court to the people, they shall put off their garments wherein they ministered, and lay them in the holy chambers, and they shall put on other garments. and they shall not sanctify the people with their garments.
So the garments are holy. After they've done the work with the garments have the ability to then sanctify the people. Yet, like Brother Kish said, you still got people arguing about, well, why I got to come like this? Why I got to dress like that? Imagine how many people are going to, believe that it would be a strange thing for Yahweh says, before these priests can come near unto me, they better have this linen bonnet on their head. Imagine all the people that are accustomed to seeing their pastor. And then they see, these people with head coverings on. Why they got those on? What happens? They wasn't given any instructions. So they really don't understand any of the process. Go ahead.
When you mention that, Christianity came out, modern day Christianity came out of Catholicism. But the Catholic priest still has his head covered.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Even they separate that. How many Catholics, though? The rest of them that's in there had a head covered. Some of them do, but all of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get to some Catholic women and they'll throw a napkin over their head or something. They might wipe their mouth with it later, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But they'll throw something over there. Go ahead.
Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads. Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court.
Okay. When they enter the inner court, not a priest shall not drink wine. See, people will take a bit and a piece of something and say, a priest drinking wine is not righteous. Keep reading. The last thing he wants for you to end up drinking wine when you're supposed to be doing something and you end up doing it wrong, and you know what we're going to do?
It was that wine fault. It was unusually strong. I don't know what kind of grapes was in there.
Right. Go ahead.
Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away, but they shall take maidens of the seed of the house of Israel, or a widow that had a priest before.
Or a widow that had a priest before, or maidens which are virgins. In other words, if they have the wrong type of woman, it is going to affect how they operate. Because you got some that can't walk right if the woman don't walk right. You got some that won't come to church, let their woman come to church. You have some that won't get baptized, let their woman get baptized. Go ahead.
And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. And in the controversy they shall stand in judgment, and they shall judge it according to my judgments, and they shall keep my laws and my statutes in all mine assemblies.
Right, which means that it's going to be a situation where they are going to have to decree something against somebody, which automatically puts you in an unlikable state. See, Sunday morning don't ever have to do that. The setup of righteousness is going to have to do that, because they're going to have to stand in controversy and say, this right, this wrong. That upsets people. They don't want to hear that. Go ahead.
And they shall hallow my Sabbaths.
They shall hallow my Sabbaths. They shall respect my Sabbaths. Even in the part of reading the oracle, it says, be careful when you come in the presence of Elohim, not to offer the sacrifice of fools. You be careful what flow out of your mouth. Why you think we don't have open discussion on the Sabbath day, but we have open things on Bible study? Because you say the wrong thing in front of that angel, and then we end up having to explain to everybody why they got to carry you out here. Some things you do to try to protect people, but they don't really understand what that is. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and let's start, read verses 9 through 11.
For I am the least of the apostles, that am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of Elohim.
So Saul is saying he is the least of the apostles. He didn't walk with Yahshua. He was called after the fact. Okay? So he automatically says, I am the lowest of all of them. They were able to deal with him face to face while they were dealing with him. I was trying to persecute all of them. Because he didn't know no better. Go ahead.
But by the grace of Elohim, I am what I am. And his grace, which was bestowed upon me, was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all.
Right. He now recognizes I have to offer up a deeper sacrifice, because I understand I did more dirt. And I did the dirt to the saints. So now you're talking about this gift of service that was given unto him. He automatically wants to work harder than everybody else. You think about the other ones, they said, well, you know, hey, we might have done just a little bit of dirt. So they figure I'm going to do a little bit of work. A little dirt, little work. A lot of dirt, a lot of work. Some people don't know they did a lot of dirt. That's why they don't have a lot of work. Go ahead.
Yet not I, but the grace of Elohim, which was with me. Therefore, whether it were I or they, so we preach, and so you believe.
Jump to verse 35.
Verse 35. But some man will say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? You fool, that which you soweth is not quickened except it die. And that which you soweth not that body, but that which you soweth not that body that shall be, but bare grain. It may chance of wheat or of some other grain.
In other words, it has to change form. You don't bury a seed and then just get a bigger seed. That ain't what you're trying to grow. You're trying to grow something else. It has to change state. Well, you the seed. And you have to change state from what was originally buried. It says we are buried with him in baptism. See, there's certain things that make sense when you put them alongside something else. There's a process that is taking place. The question is, were we truly buried with him in baptism? That's what's supposed to happen, so that we can change state. And don't feel bad if you ain't changed everything right away. That's a process. If you plant a seed last night and you got a plant in the morning, you need to worry about that damn plant. There's something wrong with that damn plant right there. I can tell you that right now. You need to go take that damn thing back.
Look, I need my money back, because this ain't, look, I ain't trying to buy no beanstalks and nothing like that. Let me tell you something. This right here ain't right. I need my money back. You can take this, whatever this is, because ain't nothing supposed to grow that quick.
No, you take that back. So you ain't supposed to change that past, but there's supposed to be some change. Go ahead.
But Elohim gives it a body as it has pleased him, and to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there's one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial.
Right, heavenly bodies and then earthly bodies. Go ahead.
But the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars. For one star differeth from another star in glory.
One star differs from another star in glory according to what their purpose is. Believe it or not, we can look up in the sky and see a bunch of stars. And they're just twinkling. We don't know the difference between one or another. But let me tell you something. Where they are placed, they got a job to do. If one of them decide not to work his gravitational pull right, we might end up in Mars. They got a job to do. They differ in glory by the job that they're supposed to do. Go ahead.
So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual.
Right. So the spiritual man has to be a part of the second birth, not the first one. Now we swear we spiritual beforehand, but that's the natural man before. We didn't even have opportunity to entertain the spirit at those times. Then we start getting into the spirit of this book and we start dealing with the spiritual man. Go ahead.
The first man is of the earth, earthy. The second man is the Adonai from heaven. As is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy. And as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly.
Right, and we have to deal with the power of what that actually encompasses. You're talking about Yahshua having this resurrected body. It was not like the situation where other people were brought back to life. In situations where people were healed and they were brought back to life, they were brought back to life with still a regular body. Later on, they still died again. The body that he got. This is why he was the first fruits of men. No, that body was able to change form. It was able to change appearance. It was able to move from one place to another. No, that's a different body. That body wasn't like the first one. He says, touch me. They say, you must be a spirit. He says, I ain't a spirit. Touch me. Flesh and bone. I am flesh and bone. He said blood. Let's go to Daniel chapter 12. Now, we must remember the details of the encounter that the prophet Daniel had with the angel Gabriel. Gabriel stated that from the minute Daniel began to pray, the decree came forth for him to come to Daniel. But there was a demon or an evil angel over the kingdom of Persia that was too strong for Gabriel. Gabriel then stated that Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help him. So we're going to go to Daniel chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 1 through 9.
Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which stands up for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
Okay, once again, we have to note several things. At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of your people, and there should be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. They call it the Great Tribulation. Okay, we know that these things have not taken place. Okay, and at that time your people shall be delivered. So why in the hell is Jews in the land? See, people are trying to say that we're basing our salvation on color. No, our people have gone through a series of things, and those spiritual sacrifices have mounted up. So for somebody to say, hey, the Jews are in the land, all right, okay, well, I just need you to tell me about that war that was in heaven. Because there's a whole lot of signs that was supposed to happen in the sky when those angels got kicked out. Because it's in that time that the children of Israel shall be delivered. So who these people and who delivered them? And what captivity were they in? But see, you can't be bashful in dealing with that. Because when you do, they're going to knock you over the head. Go ahead.
And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake.
Okay, hold on. Anybody remember walking by a graveyard and somebody just crawled out?
Oh, woo! Boy, what time is it, brother? You see what time it is?
It's 2019. That's what time it is. What? We sleep 1,000 years? Right. Anybody remember just walking by a cemetery and that happened? So how we got Jews in the land? But they want to make you believe there's something wrong with my doctrine. No. If there's something wrong with my doctrine, then Daniel lying and a whole lot of other prophets lying too. And Yahshua got to be a lie. So you got to believe that over half of this book is a lie to believe that strange doctrine. Go ahead.
Some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
Now, there's a separation in between that, because the first resurrection are those that shall be resurrected to the joy part, and those are the ones that are going to have be a part of the first resurrection, have that shall awake to peace. Then you have those that are going to awake to shame and everlasting contempt. That's going to be 1,000 years later. Go ahead.
And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever.
Now, if you're going to turn somebody to righteousness, that means you're not going to just walk around and say things that they like to hear. That's not how you turn anybody to righteousness. People don't turn to righteousness because you said nice things to them. People don't turn to righteousness because you accept them when they do evil. That's not how people turn to righteousness. Sometimes if you love somebody, you don't have to fight with them. Because that's the only way they're going to do right. Go ahead.
But you, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders?
So we got an angel, and you notice the angel got on the same thing that the priest gonna have to have on when they come near to Yahweh. Did you notice that, what the man got on? He was clothed in linen. Same thing Yahweh said they're gonna have to have on when they go up to his altar. But it's just coincidence. Right, keep thinking that. Go ahead.
And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that lives forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and half a time, and when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Adonai, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end.
Right. What shall be the end of these things? Go your way, Daniel. You're worrying about the wrong thing. Ain't no need of you worrying yourself about this. When it's your time, you're going to wait to righteousness. But your people still going to have to go through all of these things. They don't need us to keep talking about that part. Let's just move on. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. Because you can see how heavy somebody's heart could get having to hear about the next 25 years of hell that their people going to have to go through. That's a pretty big weight to drop on somebody. So Daniel couldn't be no weak brother. If we heard of the next 25 days that we were going to go through hell, we probably wouldn't even come outside. You ain't been to work in 2 weeks. What's wrong with you?
I got a prophecy. It's going to be 25 days of hell. I'm just going to stay right here.
And he got to think about this about all his people. That's some heavy stuff. Revelation chapter 12, and let's read verses 1 through 7.
1 through 7 or 1 through 17?
1 through 17, I'm sorry.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered.
So we have Israel, which is the woman crowned with the 12 stars. It's 12 stars are the 12 tribes of Israel. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth. Out of this woman proceeded the Mashiach. It is the tribes for which the Messiah has been brought forth. Go ahead.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
This is the rulership of Babylon, and they have indignation with the children of Israel. So if you deal with who is ruling and who's in power now, ruling under the same system of Babylon, those are the very ones who have put the people in the land and told us that they were the Jews. But according to the Bible, those people are going to fight the children of Israel. So why would they put them in the land if they were going to fight them? This is how we know they can't be Israel. Go ahead.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Right. As soon as Yahshua hit this earth, Lucifer wanted to devour the child. Go ahead.
And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne.
Her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. She brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations, but not yet. Go ahead.
And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
Now, you have to look at the great amount of time in between verse 5 and verse 6. Her child was caught up unto Elohim and his throne. This is at the death of Yahshua. Now, we're talking about the woman fleeing into the wilderness. That ain't even took place yet. Go ahead.
And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels.
So now we have levels of angels. These angels differ in their power and glory, and now we have a war between them. So before Israel is placed in their land, there has to be a war in heaven. And we still allow somebody to give us low self-esteem, telling us you couldn't be the children of Israel. And instead of us making those people prove themselves, then we start going through Deuteronomy and running all over the book, trying to prove to them who we are. No, prove to us who you are. Because according to this book, it's supposed to be a whole war fought in heaven before all these things come to pass. How you get in there? See, we don't make them answer any questions. You running all over the book. And every time you go somewhere, they denying everything you read. But you notice they're not reading anything to prove them. They got you on defense mode. You need to go in offense. Nobody plays defense for the whole game. Sooner or later, you're supposed to get the ball. When you going to get the ball? And if they don't give you the ball, take it. It's my turn. Now see if you can catch me. Go ahead.
And prevail not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Now, This is how we have been persuaded not to question people on this, because they have gone about to tell people that this already happened. By doing that, we didn't make the connection because we were taught. Understand now, these same organizations that placed these people in the land and told everybody that they were the Jews, these same people are the ones who are over our pastors in our churches. So they taught our people what to teach us. So there was a reason for the teaching that this has already happened. So that you won't make the connection, well, wait a minute. All this is supposed to happen when the children of Israel are delivered. Go ahead.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great anger, because he knows that he has but a short time.
Right. And then they even, as we go back through the other prophets in Daniel, they called this the Great Tribulation, because that there is great anger now because the adversary does not have the ability to go back and forth. So now he's going to cause as much havoc as he can where he is. Go ahead.
And when the dragon saw that he was cast onto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
Right. So instead of just causing problems all over the earth, he is going to concentrate his anger on the woman that brought forth the man-child. His anger is going to be concentrated on Israel. So whereas people say, well, you know, we're all children of Abraham. He's not coming to attack children of Abraham. See, that's the part, when it comes down to that attacking, you notice that they don't sign themselves up for that.
No, we all gonna receive the glory.
All right, what about this attack right here where he comes to attack?
Oh no, we ain't got nothing to do with that.
Oh, you gonna sign yourself out of the attack, but you gonna get the glory though. No, that's not gonna work. See, this level of the hierarchy is based on what manner of service you have provided. Whether we like it or not, this is something that we got to go through. And all that make it, you automatically get placed in a level because of the servitude that we're going to have to deal with in going through that. Go ahead.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and a half time.
Right. While people are doing all of those things, you have to start asking these people when they are questioning who you are. So at what point are y'all going to be forced out into the wilderness? And if you're already in the land, how does that take place? See, you have to start putting in, because what's happening is you're allowing people to put all these blockades into why you couldn't be Israel. Well, you have to start putting things in order where, how is this going to happen if you're already there? Go ahead.
From the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
Right. He said the same way that you came, it's the same way you're going to leave. You get on them ships, the adversary, the devil, going to try to drown us in those ships. You ain't worry about no water you on land. But I tell you what, you get in water, and a wave come the size of the Empire State Building. Oh, it gonna get your attention. Oh, it definitely gonna get your attention. Everybody who ain't prayed, they gonna pray then. Oh, that's gonna take care of that business. Go ahead.
And the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yahshua the Mashiach.
Right. So now he has great anger, but now he's even directing this anger to go specifically against those that keep the commandments. So he has a level. He first wants Israel. Then he wants Israel who understands who Yahshua is. So if you just want to live in peace and luxury, he'll allow you. Just take a vow, stupid. Stay alienated from the Commonwealth of Israel, and I'll give you a break. Of course, you're going to be in the lake of fire with me, but you get a break right now. Believe it or not, a lot of us going to take that. We're going to take that deal because it's peace right now. And sometimes that's all we think about is peace right now. See? We don't think about, well, what's going to happen when 2 weeks come? Are you considering the longevity of that? Because you can have peace right now and have the worst time ever after that. Are you considering that? Or are you just thinking about how it feels right now? Did you finish that, brother?
Yes.
All right, let's go to Luke chapter 16. Luke chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 19 through 31.
Verse 19. There was a certain rich man, which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate, full of sores.
All right, the two levels that have been given on each end of the spectrum. There is a rich man, which was clothed in purple, which is a color of royalty, and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. Everything he wanted. He got everything happening. On the other end of the spectrum, there's a certain beggar, which was laid at his gate full of sores. Laid at his gate. I need for y'all to pay attention to certain. Not laid at the gate. Laid at his gate. Go ahead.
And desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table.
Moreover,
the dogs came and licked his sores. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried.
All right, so he's giving him this saying so he can deal with some things. Go ahead.
And in the lake of fire he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and sees Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that you in your lifetime receive your good things.
Right. So now when we deal with what is then earned into the kingdom, he said, wait a minute. Remember, you have received good things in your life. Go ahead.
And likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and you are tormented.
Right. So his level of sitting in there was about the things that he went through. This was not about what color he was. This was not about his ethnicity. And this is what people try to throw at you. No. He said, no. Remember now, you received your good things. Now it's his turn. And you don't get to defile his turn by jumping back in line. No, you had yours. Now it's his turn. Go ahead.
And beside all this, between us and you there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. Then he said, I pray you therefore, Father, that you would send him to my father's house.
Right, the same ones. Now understand now, the man hungered at his gate. But now, This man has a better situation. Now he want him to go to his brothers. Go to my family and talk to them. So tell me again when you open that gate and let me in. I don't remember that. I don't remember you feed me when I was hungry at that gate. But you want me to go and deal with your folk so they won't end up in the situation you in. Go ahead.
You know, we always poetic. I was talking to Brother Yermiah. You know how he's out in Vegas working.
Mm-hmm.
So he's telling me about the superintendent. Long story short, some guy he knew from previous years of working. And the guy's riding him. Yermiah ends up losing the job, but he was just happy to be away from that torment of that job. He says he gets another job, and he's on this job, eventually gets a better opportunity. That same guy eventually calls him and says, "Hey man, they fired me. You know anybody working, hiring?"
But you know what? It's amazing how the ones who have offered absolutely, no mercy are the first ones who will ask for mercy. It is utterly amazing. And we'll do it like it ain't nothing. And this is exactly what Yeshua is talking about. Wait a minute, man. He wasn't at a gate. He was at your gate begging. You paid him no attention. Now you really want me to go send him for your folks? For real? And you have to pay attention that this is also linked with Abraham. And there's a reason why Abraham is in there. As I remember some of the communication that we have received lately, there was some Euro Gentiles who were, trying to throw away, this culture, but they said, well, hey, we're all sons of Abraham. Yeah, but through Esaac shall the seed be called. You got to remember that. Abraham got many sons. There was already a separation between Ishmael and Esau. Then you have a situation where after Sarah, Abraham had several wives with many children. Yeah, he was a father of many nations. But that's not how the calling goes. So sometimes you have to learn how to listen, because in the midst of other things, that one slipped by me. I didn't catch that till I went back and looked at him. Oh, look at it. And trying to call him with that boy. I ain't even catch that right away. Look at that. That was slick. No. Claiming sons of Abraham ain't going to get you in. See, you have to learn how to listen for that little slick stuff. Go ahead.
Because he was claiming the sons of Abraham. When he died, only 2 came back.
Yeah. He didn't even go get all the rest of them. And even that too, the seed was called in one.
Mm-hmm.
But think about all the rest of them. He had all these other children from these different wives after the death of Sarah. Man, he ain't called none of them. He like, get him a gift. Here goes some popcorn. Get on out of here.
He said he sent them far away.
Right. I need you to stay away from my son now. What you mean your son? We all your son. No, not really. Yeah. Go on away, man, now. Go on away. See, this is the holy seed. I don't want y'all around him. See? Because y'all going to defile how he going to live. Here goes some gifts. Now go on now. Here go 100 acres. Go on. Give him some cattle. He can get on out of here. See? Sanctified. I need him to be separated. Because if he keep dealing with y'all, he gonna become defiled. So I need y'all to go to the left and him to go to the right. And remember, when there was a separation between Abraham and Lot, he let Lot choose. All right, you choose one, I'll go to the other. Yahweh didn't care which way he went. Just go away. I don't care where you go. Just get away from him. Because you're going to defile him if you stay here. Go ahead.
Verse 28. For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment.
Mm-hmm. Now, I care for my brothers, and I just want to show them so much love. Yeah, so send the man who I wouldn't pay any attention to while he was begging at my gate. I'm sorry, at my gate. He couldn't get close to my door because, the gate closed. Go ahead.
Abraham says unto him, they have Moshe and the prophets. Let them hear them.
Oh, if they want to be saved, let them hear the law and the prophets. Moshe is the law. The prophets is still the rest of the Old Testament. Let them read the Old Testament. Go ahead.
And he said, no, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And he said unto him, if they hear not Moshe and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead.
Right. So they can have all of the nice talking about the Messiah rising from the dead. They can go through all of those things. But if they don't hear Moshe and the prophets, they're not going to change anything. And their name's not going to be written in that book. No matter how many nice things they say about the resurrection. Let's go to Romans chapter 2. Romans chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 9.
Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that does evil, of the Yehudi first, and also of the Gentile.
Right. And people will read in the earlier places where it says, he does not have any respect to persons. So then this is where the other nations want to push in and say, well, shows that we all going to be equal. See, we all going to be equal rulers of that kingdom. See, we all going to be kings and priests. No, man, y'all done had y'all chance to rule. You think you're going to rule again? And then when you bring that forward, then they say, oh, well, you trying to deal with that according to color. No, when you deal with these things that Israel has been made to suffer, righteous payment has to be made for that. And this is the exact same thing that Yahshua was talking about with Lazarus. Hey, wait a minute. He has had to go through all of these things. Now it's time for him to receive good. You received good, and not only did you receive good, but you received good and you didn't share none of your good with him. You had enough good that you could have shared with that poor man who was begging at your gate. You didn't share none of that. Understand, when they talk about the disparity of the money that is here in America, man, there are people that are, so rich. Leah was just talking about this morning that there was a article about the widening gap of income and housing that is happening here in the city of Atlanta, where they tell them lies that they are building. First of all, ain't no more projects in Atlanta. They came and knocked down all the projects and told us they was building luxury housing, and it was gonna help everybody. I knew it was a lie when they said it. Man, they done ran us out of those neighborhoods, and now they have luxury housing where there used to be projects. But one thing, White Flight went and ran all out to Alpharetta and Marietta and every other etta they got out there, right? Then they realized the traffic was hell when they got out there. It took them 3 hours to get back into the city. So now, then they came in the city and started taking over, taking back those old projects. Every last one of them have been rebuilt. They came with a whole process saying that they were gonna revitalize. They said they was helping, the poor people. They helped us right out of our land. They helped us right out of it. Pushed us out into made little Section 8 homes, got all those projects, made luxury town. Now, you got $1 million apartments sitting where projects used to sit a couple years back. There used to be a project right next to East Lake Golf Course. They didn't want Tiger to run into none of y'all. They got us up out of there. Now go back. East Lake Meadows were one of the roughest projects back in the day. The mailman used to drop the mail at the front.
Y'all fend for yourself. Whoever Miss Johnson is, there go your mail.
He was out of there. He's like, I'm not going in there. They nicknamed it Little Vietnam. That's luxury living. And they done ran us out of it. All in the hood. But don't none of us stay in it. Yeshua was discussing this same thing. Wait a minute, you remember where he was begging? You don't remember that? You don't remember when he was begging full of sores at your gate? You wouldn't much less come out your door to come and see him begging, much less go to your gate and open it and let him in. But they think that our salvation is based on our color. No, it's based on the things that we've gone through. So believe you me, the things that we're about to get, we earned them. Our ancestors earned them. Go ahead.
Verse 10. But glory, honor, and peace to every man that works good, to the Yehudi first, and also to the Gentiles.
Right. In the righteous order, it has to be given unto Israel first, because the promises were given unto Israel first. Israel was the one that sat there and received all of the things of the covenant. So everything has to go to Israel first. That means punishment. Even righteousness. This is not respect of persons. This is just how the order was set up. Go ahead.
For there is no respect of persons with Elohim.
And people will mention that and take it out of context and try to tell you this is how everybody is going to rule equally. This is how the nations are going to rule equally. You a lie and the truth ain't in you. Because how they going to rule? You already been ruling. And look at what's happening. The earth is almost destroyed, man. I was looking at an article the other day. They was talking about some Chinese people have taken some stem cells of something and put them in a beagle. And the thing looked like a pit bull. The thing got all kind of muscle. This is a beagle. All right. So they done made a hellacious beagle by taking some stem cells of something and altering the DNA of this dog. And this dog looked like it's been working out. Boy, it looked like it's been bench pressing, Jack. This dog is robust. A beagle ain't built like that. So you know that was step number one. Now, what happened if they go ahead and do that to a pit bull that is already muscular? What is it going to do to that dog? They're on their way to making some really strange things. Don't think they're going to stop there. Because the ultimate thing is to try to make some superhumans. Yahweh ain't got no choice but to come and knock this place down. Because they are on their way to trying to do some god-awful things. And if he don't stop it, we all going to be in trouble. Go ahead.
For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. For not the hearers of the law are just before Elohim, but the doers of the law shall be justified. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves.
So this then is a spiritual sacrifice of the Gentiles that is on a much higher level because it was not required of them. When you talk about, who was it, Cornelius, that it says your arms have come up before Elohim. We're talking about somebody giving to a church that they have never been in. And at that time, probably couldn't go in. If they did, they would have all kind of problems from Israel. Go ahead.
Which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. In the day when Elohim shall judge the secrets of men by Yahshua HaMashiach according to my gospel, behold, you are called a Yehudi, and resteth in the law, and make your boast of Elohim, and knows his will, and approveth the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law.
Right. But when you don't understand that you are Israel, and that Israel is instructed out of the law, how that can be then transformed into something else is by telling you that you are a Gentile. So now you don't understand that you're supposed to be instructed out of the law. Go ahead.
And art confident that you yourself are a guide of the blind, a light of them which are in darkness, an instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law.
Now, how are you going to instruct them? How are you going to help teach somebody if you don't understand it yourself? Go ahead.
You therefore which teaches another, teaches you not yourself? You that preaches a man should not steal, does you steal?
And we're still going right back to the things that are given. What did Yeshua say? Let them hear Moshe. Okay, Moshe was the one that said thou shalt not steal. So understand, they're on one accord. He's not saying these things of his own will, of his own thought process. He's going back to the things that correspond to what Moshe said, which also corresponds to the things that Yeshua said. Let them hear Moshe. You that say that a man should not steal, do you steal? If the law is nailed to the cross, none of this even matters. Go ahead.
You that says a man should not commit adultery, does you commit adultery? You that abhorreth idols, does you commit sacrilege? You that maketh your boast of the law, through breaking the law dishonoureth you Elohim? For the name of Elohim is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written. For circumcision verily profits if you keep the law, but if you be a breaker of the law, your circumcision is made uncircumcision.
Now consider the level here that has been set. Israel was given the covenant of circumcision. The Gentiles were given the right to come into this covenant through baptism only without the circumcision, because there is that grace period that was given there. Now imagine what happens if Israel is then persuaded or somehow made to not receive any circumcision. And there are whole times, especially in Atlanta, where somehow there was this thing that happened where enormous amounts of black children were not able to receive circumcisions. And what's interesting is that, whether you know it or not, these hospitals that were in charge of that during those times, those were Jewish hospitals. So you got to backtrack a little bit. Now, this took place when I was born. I didn't get circumcised when I was 25 years old. So you got children, black children, who were born in Jewish hospitals who were made to bypass the circumcision. Why? Go ahead, bro.
Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
So if the Euro Gentiles receive a circumcision and it wasn't given to them, it is now a higher level of a sacrifice. See, these are the things that are then earning your spot in the kingdom. Not because of what you look like or what your ethnicity is. Where's your servitude at? Go ahead.
And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge you, who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? For he is not a Yehudi, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Yehudi, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit and not in the letter, whose praise is not of man, but of Elohim.
All right, so then even natural Israel shall be made to receive that spiritual circumcision. Let's go to Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
I say the truth in the Mashiach, I lie not, my conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Spirit, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from the Mashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh.
Right, for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh. Go ahead.
who are Israelites.
Who are Israelites? This is giving the authority and telling you what authority the children of Israel have. But if you don't read the things before, understanding who the children of Israel are not, you then take this authority and give it to those people who have stolen the land. Go ahead.
To whom pertaineth the adoption
Uh-huh.
and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law.
Consider those things. The adoption, the glory, the covenants, and the giving of the law. Go ahead.
And the service of Elohim and the promises.
Right. So then when you talk about this hierarchy of power, it then starts with the children of Israel. But then you go through and read about all of the things that Israel has been made to suffer, and then you understand this is not about what color they are. This is what the people want to present to you. That you're dealing with salvation based on color. Oh, no. Let's go through these things. And we can pull out, this ain't about color. Because, hey, we had Africans who look just like us who held us as slaves. Do they get to go on just because they black? Go ahead.
Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Yahshua came, who is over all, Elohim blessed forever. Amen. Not as though the word of Elohim has taken none effect.
Uh-huh.
For they are not all Israel, which are of Israel.
All right. Now, pay attention to this part, and you're going to see what ends up happening when you're talking to some people who are trying to deny you because they like to put that term black Hebrew Israelites. I don't ever even respond to that. Anytime it's written, I just say Hebrew Israelite. Go ahead.
Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Esau shall your seed be called.
Right. So they're going to start running up to you talking about, we're all children of Abraham. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But that's not what the seed is called. So you got to catch that little slickness when it's thrown out. See? If you don't catch that, then they think they got away with it. Go ahead.
That is, they which are the children of the flesh. These are not the children of Elohim, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed.
So even with natural Israel, if natural Israel does not receive that spiritual circumcision, then you shall be cut off as well. Don't matter what your ethnicity is. Don't matter what your nationality is. Let's go to Psalms chapter 50. And we have to remember the things that was just written about what things were given unto Israel. The covenants, the glory, the promises, the service of Elohim. You remember all of those things and you understand that our forefathers knew this beforehand. Psalms 50, and let's read verses 14 through 23.
Verse 14. Offer unto Elohim thanksgiving, and pay your vows unto the Most High. And call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you, and you shall glorify me. But unto the wicked, Elohim says, what have you to do to declare my statutes?
My statutes, which is the law that was given unto Israel. Go ahead.
Or that you should take my covenant into your mouth.
It says what? That is also right away the very two of the things that was mentioned that was given unto Israel. Yahweh said right away, if you're not going to deal with these things, why are you calling up on me? Keep my covenant out your mouth. Go ahead.
Seeing you hateth instruction and casteth my words behind you.
Right. Hateth instruction. We will not be instructed. We will not be corrected. They always said, well, keep my covenant out your mouth then. Stop talking about me. Go ahead.
You know, a lot of people find it hard when you address that type of situation. As you know, my nephew used to come here and I had to ask him one day, you've been here long enough. You haven't done your baptism. What gives you the right to call upon my Elohim?
Right.
What covenants have you made?
Right. You got those that are in the word, and you got some that just around it. They just hang around the word. Now, you have some people like we was talking about Cornelius. You got people that have that consistently, faithfully make offerings into a church that they've never physically been in. There are some that have not had the opportunity to get their baptism, but it's in their heart. You have others, man, they come here every week. They ain't getting there. And that's where the covenant starts. Go ahead.
When you saw a thief, then you consented with him, and has been partaker with adulterers. You giveth your mouth to evil, and your tongue frames deceit. You sitteth and speaketh against your brother. You slandereth your own mother's son. These things have you done, and I kept silent.
I kept silent. This is where people think Yahweh has agreed with them, because Yahweh pauses for a little while to see and offer that opportunity of repentance. He pauses to see, all right, let's see if there's any self-check here. Let's see if there's any self-correction. And if not, then he has to step in. Go ahead.
You thoughteth that I was altogether such an one as yourself. But I will reprove you and set them in order before your eyes. Now consider this, you that forget Elohim, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offers praise glorifies me, and to him that orders his conversation aright will I show the salvation of Elohim.
Right. So is there any question as to how this hierarchy of power is given? Whoso offers praise glorifies me, and to him that orders his conversation. Your conversation is more than just what you say, it's also what you do. Whoever orders their conversation aright will I show the salvation of Elohim. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 11. So that's one thing. You can't just look at somebody and see what kind of sacrifices they have made. Sacrifices don't show by how somebody look. So you guess that wrong, and you might guess yourself into some trouble.
Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Elohim, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto Elohim a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Elohim testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaks.
All right, so then now we have a situation that Abel's sacrifice was a better sacrifice than what Cain offered. His sacrifice was a better sacrifice, and he was held in higher esteem. These two brothers, it ain't like one was black, one was white. This ain't nothing to do with color. What was your heart toward Yahweh, your Elohim? And just because somebody utters something out of their mouth, and people talk about Yahweh all the time. People be talking about Yahweh while they on their way to do evil. Planning somebody else's demise. Still talking about Yahweh. Dogging somebody else out. Still talking about Yahweh. But what they did testified. Go ahead.
By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because Elohim had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony, that he pleased Elohim.
So before he was taken, his walk was already in a way that it was pleasing unto Elohim. He wasn't given his status because of what he looked like. He was given his status because of what he did. But the amazing part about that is you start looking at, flip through these channels and watch some of them televangelists. They said, your salvation has nothing to do. These Hebrews think they can earn salvation. Oh, yeah. I heard Klepto say it. They think they can earn salvation. This ain't based on nothing you can do. My book say otherwise. My book said everybody that got it earned it by their gift of service. Go ahead.
But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that comes to Elohim must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith Noah, being warned of Elohim of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith.
So his faith didn't have him to just sit there and say, glory, 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 hallelujah, praise Yah. He is wonderful. We are more than conquerors. No, his faith caused him to get off his butt and do something. Go ahead.
By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed. And he went out, not knowing whither he went.
And I keep telling people, do you understand how difficult that is? One of your brothers, go home and tell your wife we finna move. But I don't know where we going. You finna have hell. And he ain't told you where you going. Just start walking. You don't understand what kind of faith it takes to do that? This wasn't no talking and singing. This was action. And people tell you it's not based on what you do. They got to be reading a different book. Go ahead.
By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Esaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is Elohim. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sand which is by the seashore innumerable. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country, that is, an heavenly. Wherefore Elohim is not ashamed to be called their Elohim, for he has prepared for them a city. By faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Esau.
Right. When Abraham was tried, he didn't come back with a bunch of nice words. He had to do some very difficult stuff. Here it is, you're an old man. You have now been given this seed. And then Yahweh says, offer the seed up. No, he earned his by obedience. Understand, Yahweh said, I may pick two of a family, one of a city. Do we consider that we trying to earn a spot? Understand, there's a generation that did works way better than what we got. What if we were born during the times of slavery? Do you understand the price that them people paid? We ain't paying nothing like that. So please don't think that your seat is guaranteed you. Go ahead.
And he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said that in Esaac shall your seed be called, accounting that Elohim was able to raise him up, even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure.
Right. Believing, when you talking about a level of faith, believing that, all right, he made these promises concerning this boy. He gave me this boy. I believe that if I offer him up, he'll give me the boy back. Man, you know how deep that is? And if you think you can question his seat, you got another thing coming. Go ahead.
By faith, Esau blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith, Jacob, when he was a dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel and gave commandment concerning his bones. By faith, Moshe, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith, Moshe, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Elohim than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
And would we have done that? We've already been raised in a house of luxury, and all of the rest of those people are getting mistreated and worked to the bone. Would you go out and feel compassion for those people because they are your people? Or would you enjoy the luxury that has been given unto you? Go ahead, bro.
Esteeming the reproach of the Mashiach greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward.
See, you look at all of the things that Moshe went through, and people will automatically say, well, I ought to be able to do what Moshe did. Moshe killed a man. So now, here comes Jake. I can kill somebody too. Try it. Go ahead. Moshe's life was from the beginning orchestrated and set. He has been going through stuff from before he was born for Yahweh. 40 years in this place, 40 years in that place, 40 years in another place. Trying to redeem some people who was constantly at him the whole time. And folks constantly question Moshe. His own sister felt like she ought to have been able to do whatever Moshe.
Hey, we all Israel. We all blessed of God. So whatever he can do, I ought to be able to do it too.
Tell you what you can do. You can sit out here unclean in these woods for about 7 days. That's what you're going to do. And that was the grace of Yahweh to do that. And Moshe tried to stop it. Yahweh was like, if her father had but spit in her face, she would have been unclean 7 days. No, she going to learn not to run off at the mouth. So let her sit out here for a week so that she understands. When she was questioning Moshe's position, she was questioning Yahweh. Said, do you understand the servitude? Do you understand what he has sacrificed for this? You ain't sacrificed nothing for this. But see, we don't look at that. Did you think about whatever relationship Moshe had at 40 years old? What, you think he didn't know nobody? You think he didn't have some woman he might have been looking at? Time to go. He had to leave all that behind. Take nothing. People don't consider that. All they think about, Moshe killed a man. David killed a man. I'm finna kill that dude over there. Go right ahead. And we all gonna be carrying you out of here. Ain't done 1 hour worth of work, but think they ought to have the same thing as this man over here. Ain't made 1 hour worth of sacrifice, but think they should still have what this man got over here. Right. Go ahead, bro.
You know, even in the situation with Miriam when she was put out, what people don't realize is the whole Israel knew what happened because they couldn't leave till she was brought back in, so everybody knew what happened. You know, people be, how did y'all find out? Nah, she was set out there so the whole of Israel would know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Yahweh always do judgment so that everybody know. Stoning was a public thing. It was not private. Wasn't no private stoning. Now I want you to call all of them. This way y'all gonna learn what not to do. I want y'all to see as the flesh fly off their face when these rocks go at them. After that, it get in your heart and the mind. I don't know what they did, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do whatever that was. I won't do that. Now, I'm not saying I might not die. I just know I won't die like that. I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. That gets cemented. Yeah, we don't do no private thing. No. Do it in front of all of Israel. She gets set out there. Everybody knows she out there. And this is somebody that everybody love. So they worried. And she had power too because she was able to persuade all these priests. She was able to persuade the high priest. Because understand, physically, she had been with Aaron way longer than Moshe. Understand something? What you're watching here. See, I've been around him more than you have. So let's click up. He the outsider. Y'all be like, oh, I got your outsider. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 27. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians essaying to do were drowned.
Right. Understand even the faith to walk through water. Do you understand what the sound has got to be for the wind to even move the water for you to be able to walk through? Do you understand what that has to sound like and how frightening that has to be to walk through a wall? See, we read some things, but what happens is a lot of times we don't put ourselves in it. Walking through a wall of water has got to be one of the scariest things that you have ever encountered in your life. At any time, if that wall collapses, you gone. Hey, there's people who have gone to the beach and got caught in one of them rip currents and they never saw them again. I mean, they on the beach having a good time. I was looking at videos where, and bad thing is, I had one of these things where you had a little float where you be out there playing on the beach. That little float can get you killed on the beach. Before you know it, that wave will take you out there. You out there with the boats and everything. And can't nobody hear you. Can't nobody hear you. You can scream your little lungs out. You get on that little raft, that little raft thing. That thing made for a pool. That is not made for the ocean. Now, see, didn't nobody tell me that before I bought one. Okay? After watching these videos and watch them people get, I mean, they just floating further and further, and people trying to get them, and they going faster than anybody can get to them. And some of the people on it, they kids who can't swim. But they was thinking they were just going to stay in this little area, and somehow it went bloop and went on out. Go ahead, brother.
By faith the walls of Jericho fell down, after they were compassed about 7 days. By faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies with peace.
Now, this harlot. A harlot did a good enough work to get her introduced into the kingdom. Now, was that given to her because she was a harlot of a certain color? Or was it based on her sacrifice? First of all, she put herself in danger by hiding the spies. See, somehow people want to try to overlook those things and say that your salvation, you basing it on your color. No. You ain't reading this book. Go ahead, bro.
What shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon, and of Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance.
Right. And we can read of a whole lot of those things in the Apocrypha where they try to get them, say that you're not going to circumcise this child. Say that you're not going to keep the Sabbath and you can live. And the people who denied, they were killed. That's one of the reasons why they made sure that Apocrypha was taken out of the regular part of the Bible, so that you wouldn't have the account. Oh, and the Bible tells us exactly who it was. It was the Romans and the Greeks, the Europeans, who were doing that to the Israelites. It point blank says that in Maccabees. They're like, no, we got to get this book out of here. Oh, we got to get this book out of here, because they're going to be able to draw the line as to who was doing all the persecution to Israel. But now, we're supposed to believe that them same people are the ones who all of a sudden built the nation of Israel? Right. Go ahead, bro.
That they might obtain a better resurrection. And others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover of bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, they were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented.
Right. Yahweh got to repay them for all of that. See? So don't think we got some kind of automatic seat. We ain't go through stuff like this. Go ahead.
Of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and caves of the earth.
Right. And you know, if they were going through all of those things and they were not immediately redeemed, you know, they already in their mind questioning Elohim. And this is where the adversary of the devil comes in even deeper. You know, I can save you from all this. You want to make this go away? I can make it go away. Go ahead.
And these all, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise.
Received not the promise, but went through all of those things. You think that their prize is going to be taken from them? Go ahead.
Elohim having provided some better thing for us, that they without us should not be made perfect.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14, and let's start that at verse 1.
Verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land.
Yahweh is going to set them in their own land, not somebody else. Go ahead.
And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
What's happening now is we are cleaving to the strangers. The strangers are not cleaving to us. Go ahead.
And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids.
This is what the people don't like. This is what they're worried about, because the nations know what they have done to the children of Israel. So they want salvation and the power of Yahweh to be given to anybody on the earth except you. What bothers them is they understand what they did to you. They know everything that they've done unto you. See, why they don't want you to be in rulership has nothing to do with you. It really has something to do with what they have done to you. This is their own thought process. Go ahead.
And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give you rest from your sorrow, and from your fear, and from the hard bondage wherein you was made to serve.
Israel was made to serve in hard bondage. All you got to do, even right now, find the hardest jobs and watch. Don't you see us doing it? Find the most rigorous jobs and look around and see how many of us there. Now, they might be good paying jobs. That's not the issue. Look around the most physically difficult jobs. You'll see us and you'll see a few supervisors who don't look like us. They're not doing it. They're looking.
All right, yeah. Now pick up that big boulder right there. Okay, now put it over there.
Because they like, look, we can't pick that up. We get that big strong dude, pick that boulder up and move it over there. So those brothers are doing the physical labor. You know, there's some things that I didn't even know was that difficult. You might see a delivery guy for a FedEx or UPS. You don't really know how hard that work is. That's some work. I've had to do that for 13 hours a day. There were times that I opened the door and fell asleep right by the door. If somebody came behind me, they were going to fall over me. Who left this black person by the door? I had just enough energy to make it to the house. Every bone on me ached. You don't consider what grabbing them big heavy packages, getting on and off that truck, and you got 112 stops. And then you got to turn around and do it tomorrow. And then the next day. And then the next day. And when you start to look, I said, man, that job is much rougher than I thought it was. Then I look and I saw how many of us got that job. Oh, interesting. But then I go in the supervisor's office and I see how many of us don't have that job. Oh, now that's interesting. That is utterly interesting. Right. The hard bondage that you have been made to serve, we're still serving it. Go and find any company. Find the most difficult job. That's where you're going to find us at. We think, okay, yeah, we getting paid. Yeah, but we still being made to do the most difficult ones. Go ahead.
That you shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted and none hinders.
Right. So then there's a part of Babylon that has to fall before Israel is restored into their land. You have to put all of these things together so that you don't have some kind of low self-esteem when these people approach you with their madness. Go ahead.
The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing.
And we know that ain't the case. It is so much turmoil. You know, I got some things that I need to do, but listening to all this mess Trump got going on, man, you want to hold on to every little quarter you got right now. You be scared to spend some money. They like, man, this dude gonna get all us in trouble. Or we gonna have a trade war with China. Y'all about 50 years too late for that. Shoot, about 50 years too late. Because this about to be a problem. America don't make nothing. You trying to get into an altercation with these people and they make everything you got. Go ahead.
He's talking about forcing American companies to stop dealing. All them people are set up overseas. They say what, Amazon just built one of their biggest productions over in
India, I think.
India.
Yeah.
How you gonna force them to do what? They already left.
Hey man, this dude is delusional. Okay? He is delusional. But what else would you expect? You got a politician who's not a politician. He has never been in politics. What did you think he was going to do? I mean, most of us would have had the question, if you get a little league football coach who ain't never coached football, you already know you got a problem. So you don't really understand what a 34 blast is? No. So do you understand what defense means? No. I just tell this side to tackle that side. Ah, man, this is gonna be horrible. And that's just a little league coach. You thought a dude was gonna be president who ain't never been a politician ever. He ain't been a congressman. He ain't been a senator. He ain't been a governor. He ain't been nothing. But he president. How did you not think it was gonna turn out horrible? He ain't never done it before. If the dude paint my house tell me he ain't never painted before, hey, bro, so this your first painting job? like your very first painting job. I tell you what, bro, don't paint the house. Paint that little shed in the back. see, I need to see how bad this thing gonna go before I put you on my whole house. See? Let me see how that shed gonna turn out in the back. That way I know to fire you before you mess up my whole house. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 7. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are laid down, no feller has come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
So now we're going and confirming the very things that are written in other prophets and in Revelation. Go ahead.
All they shall speak and say unto you, are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us? Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your vials, the worm is spread unto you, and the worms cover you. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
Right. So when all of these things go down, the adversary has to be taken from his power, along with all of these things being set up with the children of Israel. All of that has to happen together. So when we go and have this conversation, you cannot be bashful about it. You have to get into this saying, okay, if Israel is set up in the land, there's several other things that's supposed to be there. Why aren't these things there? Instead of running all around Deuteronomy trying to prove who you are. Sometimes you got to attack it from the other side. Let's prove who they ain't. Go ahead.
How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I'll exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
Right. So this is why he's so angry when he gets evicted out of heaven. This is why he is so angry when he get here. Oh, he fine as long as he can come and go. See, that's what Jake like. If you present a situation where Jake can just float back and forth, oh, Jake love that. Lock one of them doors and Jake can't keep moving. Oh, you about to see a mad Jake now. Oh, yeah. When he can't get back, he about to show some anger now. He been going back and forth, everything fine. He always all right. You can't come back here no more. Then he blames all that on us. And that's what happened. Every time somebody's denied something, they got to find somebody to blame it on, because it couldn't be them. It couldn't be that he just a low-down, rotten, lying scoundrel. It couldn't be that.
No, it's got to be that Israel. I told you not to even create them people. I'm going to kill all of them.
Now he makes us the reason for his fall. Go ahead.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I'll be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see you shall narrowly look upon you and consider you, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
Right. So in other words, Yahweh is going to turn him into what he hates. Man. He has had utterly nothing but hatred for flesh since the beginning. He brought his deception in the garden. He brought his manipulation into the garden. He has been causing issues from day one. And Yahweh's punishment, in its poetic nature, I'm going to turn you into that which you hate. Go ahead.
That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house.
Right. As we read, we go back to Jeremiah 50 and Jeremiah 51. It starts talking about every man going back to his own land wherein he is from. And then we get right back to this. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. and we get right back down to it and get into the entirety of it, America wasn't giving to nobody. So if Yahweh destroy it, everybody still go home. You go into all these other places, you find this is where these people, all the people in America, all from somewhere else. Everybody. Which makes it absolutely amazing that there can be a war on immigrants. That the entire place is filled with immigrants. So it just ends up being the question of which immigrant got here first. So now they want to argue, I'm more of a legitimate immigrant than you. Excuse me? That's what the argument got to be. Because it can't be immigration. Everybody's an immigrant. It's not like we all went to Rome, which was a place that was given unto some family. This is where their people are. No, this was a land where nobody was. People who migrated upward started living. So then of course, they call those people Indians because they thought they was an Indian. But we talking people who just floated down from other places. So when Yahweh destroy it, ain't nobody gonna be homeless. Not one nation is going to suffer when he destroy it. Go ahead.
But you are cast out of your grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. You shall not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land and slain your people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the lawlessness of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
Right. And you have people that are accidentally worshiping the adversary and know not. He said, prepare slaughter for his children. I thought it was one of the most harsh things when my elder said, if your God named God, you worship the devil. And I was like, man, that's pretty hard. Did a little bit more reading. That's why you learn to keep your mouth shut. I was like, man, I don't know about that right now, but I'm just going to shut up. I got to reading and got to studying. I was like, you know what? If your God named God, you worship the devil. It seemed harsh, but you got to do a little reading and you find out, wait a minute. Yahweh keeps talking about publishing his name. He keeps talking about Israel defiling his holy name. How is that possible if you can't say the name? And who would want to get you to worship a God in some kind of generic form? Go ahead.
For I will rise up against them, says Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, says Yah. I will also make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and I'll sweep it with the besom of destruction, says Yahweh of hosts.
I will sweep it with the broom of destruction. There are so many already possible natural destructions sitting in America. Okay? If they hit that caldera, which is an underground bomb, it might split this whole country in half. And everybody knows it's there. Go ahead.
Yahweh of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him underfoot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders.
And when we deal with these so-called Jewish that are in the land, we don't see that it's their yoke that is upon us. But when you understand that they're in control of the IRS, that they are in control of all of these organizations that are putting all the heavy weight upon us. See, we don't consider they are able to hide their hands, but they control the financial institutions that are putting all this weight on us. Go ahead.
This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For Yahweh of hosts has purposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? In the year that King Ahaz died was this burden. Rejoice not you, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote you is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill your root with famine, and he shall slay your remnant.
In other words, Yahweh is going to set forth the things that have been done wrong. He gonna make those things right. See, we keep trying to ask the nations for reparations. Yahweh got us. And I sure don't want none of their money. Because China about to devalue that. If they give us $1 million and he keep getting into it with China, we're going to have 100,000 by the morning. You're like, I had $1 million last night. Yeah, well, it's worth 100,000 this morning. You better hurry up and spend it. Go ahead.
Howl, O gate, cry, O city, you, whole Palestina, art dissolved. For there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed times. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? That Yahweh has founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it.
And the poor of his people shall trust in it. The more situations that we have of pomp and circumstance, the less we count on Yahweh, our Elohim. This is why you have brothers that said, don't give me so little that I steal, but don't give me so much that I forget about you. Keep me in a place where I can keep searching for Yahweh and my Elohim. And if you can do that rich, wonderful. But if not, you may want to ask for Yahweh to take some stuff, if that stuff is keeping you from serving him. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.